This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
What we've been saying for the last 600 days, almost 600 days now, we have a sickness in this country. On October 7th, 2023, a bunch of savages, subhuman savages, attacked Israel, murdered 1,200 innocent Israelis and Americans, took more than 200 people hostage, and started a war that they are losing to this day. They started a war, and they continue this war as they hold hostages and refuse to turn them over, refuse to put down their arms. They are a designated terrorist organization. They hate Jewish people. They hate America. They hate humanity. They love death. They are just scum. And somehow, some way, they gained a foothold in this country. Somehow they gained popular support, and it began right away. October 8th, 2023, the protests began demanding a ceasefire. Sitting Congress people demanded a ceasefire before Israel fired a shot in response to the worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. Somehow the torture, the murder of innocent Israelis was supposed to just, it happens, just something that happens. And something happened here in this country, and it has been vile. It has been sick. People took the side of Hamas. They took the side of terrorists, of violent savages who murdered women and raped their corpses, who murdered babies. Somehow they became the sympathetic figure, and Israelis, Jewish people in this country became the enemy. As I've pointed out 100 times since October 7th, there's something truly twisted about an American, any American, who blamed another American for a war 5,000 miles away because that American happened to be born Jewish. I don't think we've talked about that enough, at least nationally. There hasn't been that conversation of just how incoherent and insane this new rising tide of anti-Semitism is, blaming kids who are just trying to go to class at Yale or Columbia or UMass, just kids, 19-year-old Jewish kids. It's their fault that Benjamin Netanyahu is waging war against Hamas in Gaza. Somehow we're going to stop them from going to class, harass them, throw things at them, and now shoot them, kill them. It was bound to happen. This was the inevitable next step. A savage terrorist in Washington, D.C. last night, an American named Elias Rodriguez, 30-year-old Democrat, Biden donor, BLM marcher, radical leftist, put on his suit and tie and went to this event at the Capitol Jewish Museum last night with intent to kill Jews. Yes, kill Jews. Why? Jewish Americans, young people, killed two promising young Jewish people, staffers at the Israeli embassy. So they're to blame for what's happening in Gaza, and he killed them, and here he is on your screen. He is, this is just sick. Shoots them dead, and then says, I did it, as they handcuffed him, and of course yelled, "Free, free Palestine." The same chant you heard yesterday at Columbia when radicals at Columbia burned their degrees at graduation and chanted, "Free, free Palestine." So he kills two innocent kids, 20-year-olds, who were planning to get engaged next week. I want to get their names right. Yonan Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram both worked at the embassy. Both were there at this celebrating at this event at the embassy, at the museum. Embassy employees walked out at the end of a nice night, and this scum, this savage, shot them dead because he was upset about a war 5,000 miles away. It's their fault. Now he'll spend the rest of his life in jail, and he'll probably get lots of fan mail. In fact, He already is. The sickness is spreading. There's a scroll. You can get it from End Wokeness on the comments. They posted on this Twitter site, popular Twitter site, about the murder. And one comment after another says they got what they deserved. Free Palestine.
Bill Burr's already breaking out the knee pads.
Oh God. And we're going to get to the worst part of this. In my mind, the worst part of this is somehow we have people in Congress, we have people in the media, we have leaders in this country who won't condemn it. I said this on October 8th. There are many, many Democrats in this country, in Congress, in mayor's offices, who have never condemned Hamas, who have never demanded the release of the hostages. Even Eden Alexander, who was in there in the tunnels for 580 days, an American from New Jersey. And we have congressmen who never demanded the release of Eden Alexander. Oh, they demanded the release of a hostage. Yeah, they did. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. They did more. They fought harder for an MS-13 gang member, wife beater, human trafficker than they did for an innocent American. Again, my only explanation is there's a sickness. This is anti-Semitism. This is just Jew hatred at the most base level, where you have this assassination at 9:00 last night, and you have a sitting Congresswoman, Ilhan Omar, a national disgrace, a vile, disgusting creature, walking outside the Capitol this morning and asked what she thought of the killing. Will she condemn this killing? Again, a Congresswoman, and she can't do it. She can't bring herself to condemn the assassination of two innocent Americans. I know I've been around a while. I don't think we've ever sunk to this level. We've had a lot of bad people in Congress. God knows I have the worst representing me because I live in Massachusetts. I have Ayanna Pressley, who will probably do the same thing Ilhan Omar did right here. Check this out. Again, a Congresswoman outside Congress. The assassination was a few blocks away. The assassination was right next to the FBI building in DC, in our nation's capital, by an anti-Semitic, terror-supporting scum. And a Congresswoman can't even offer condolences. This is just the lowest. We have reached the lowest point. Check this out.
Congresswoman Omar,
anybody safe?
can I get your reaction to the shooting that happened in D.C. last night?
I'm going to go for now.
I'm going to go for now,
I'm
Mark.
going to go for now. That's the reaction.
The family.
Congresswoman, when asked about the murder of two innocent Americans right in that neighborhood, right now in the neighborhood, two innocent people killed for being Jewish. And we have a sitting Congresswoman who will not condemn it, who will not speak out against it, who will not say even platitudes that violence is never the answer. You know why? I'm going to tell you why. Because she supports it. Because she supports it. We have congresswomen. We have a fifth column in this country. The barbarians are not at the gate. They are inside the gate. We have women like that. You think Rashida Tlaib is any different? You think she's going to condemn it? Of course not. Ayanna Pressley, AOC, are they any of them going to condemn it? Are the radical big city mayors going to condemn this? No. We've reached a point where they think this is an appropriate response to a war that they disagree with in the Middle East, a war in the Middle East. So you kill someone who happened to be born Jewish and is proud to be Jewish and working at the Jewish embassy, and they are gunned down in cold blood. And we have Congress people, elected Democrats, who will not condemn it. What if this guy donated to Trump? He donated to Joe Biden. Yes, he did. Elias Rodriguez gave a donation in 2020 to the Biden campaign. He marched with BLM. He was a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation in Chicago, an left-wing activist. And he decided this was the day he was going to take action. He was going to go full Luigi Mangione and murder innocent people. You know why? Because he knows this is going to be really popular with a certain sick corner of our society. I'm not sure he knew it would include Congress people, but it sure was going to include a lot of Columbia students and Harvard students and members of the media and Mehdi Hassan and so many others who will rationalize it, who will justify it and say, hey, innocent people are dying in Gaza. Why not kill innocent people in D.C.? We have reached a point, a breaking point in this country. And I was glad to see Dave Portnoy this morning. God knows he's got a lot of influence and he's always in the news. And Portnoy's never really been active here. He's never been totally radicalized, but he's Jewish. And he's looking at this saying, they're killing people for being Jewish. That's all. That's their crime, being Jewish and not ashamed to be Jewish, to work at the embassy. And they're dead. And they're in their late 20s. So Portnoy tweets, let me get the tweet up this morning. A domestic terrorist went hunting Jews last night in D.C., open firing outside a Jewish event, killing 2 Jews. The terrorist, Elias Rodriguez, yelled, "Free Palestine," and got arrested. This type of tragedy is the natural progression of events when the morons running our colleges, far-left politicians, and hate merchants on social media continue to normalize and seemingly encourage anti-Semitism in this country. That is it right there. Portnoy nails it. The least surprising part about this tragedy is that the killer hated America long before the conflict in the Middle East. He was an active member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation, and he was a serial agitator, as so many of the Free Palestine movement are. For them, this isn't just about the war in Gaza. This is about hating America and our way of life. And the more the anti-Semitism is normalized in this country, the more it emboldens these lunatics to commit these heinous acts. He's right. We have a problem in this country, and thank God we have Donald Trump and Marco Rubio and his whole cabinet fighting this. We watched the other day the fight on Capitol Hill with Marco Rubio and was it Talib or Omar, and questioning him about revoking visas. And thank God Marco Rubio was unapologetic, said, yes, we're going to revoke visas from these agitators who come here to hate America, to roil up protests against Jewish people, against this country. We're not going to let them in anymore. Why did we let them in the first place? We have a problem. We've let in hundreds of thousands of people who hate this country. You know why? Because we have leaders. We have Democrats in Congress who hate this country. We have presidents of universities who hate this country, who hate Israel, who want these agitators here in our country, on their campuses. That has to end. We have to stop this. We can't have people in office, in Congress, encouraging people like Elias Rodriguez to take up arms against innocent Americans. It is beyond sick. I'm going to be losing my mind today because we're going to see a lot of reaction, like with Luigi Mangione saying, murder's wrong. We don't condone murder, but we're going to get the big but we're going to get with every one of these people saying, yeah, we don't condone violence, but there's a war in Gaza. So what? What does that have to do with some kid trying to get to class? How did we get that point? How did we get across that Rubicon to where we started blaming kids, Jewish people, American Jewish people, just trying to live their lives, blaming them for a war you hate, you disagree with? Yeah, are we going to get Bill Burr? Are we going to get Dave Smith today saying, yeah, I don't agree with murder, but there's a war in Gaza. Okay, genius. Explain to me. Bill Burr, he could never explain it because he He doesn't know. And Dave Smith couldn't either. None of these people could. Explain to me how these two kids who were just out for a night at a museum, how is it their fault for what Netanyahu and the IDF is doing? If you could convince me that it's their fault, then, we can work together here. But you can't, because you're an idiot, because you've been radicalized to hate Jews because of this war. Maybe you hated them before that. Maybe you've always been an anti-Semite. Maybe this scumbag, this vile creature who's already getting love letters from the left, maybe he just never liked Jews. But this is what happens. Portnoy is right. We have leaders, presidents at colleges, professors, politicians telling you that it's the Jews' fault. The Jews did it. Let's get the Jews. And this is what you got. 2 dead kids with their whole lives ahead of them on the streets of D.C. last night. Here he is again. He shoots them dead, turns around. Yep, you got me. Handcuff me. Free, free Palestine. You know what? That is hate speech.
Free, free Palestine.
Looks and sounds like everybody on the campus of Columbia today, in our nation, in our biggest city, in New York City, chanting, free, free Palestine. Yeah, are they free now? Do you think Netanyahu's going to call off the dogs now?
This will help.
Moron, you think that's it? The IDF was ready to go into Gaza, go into some stronghold, but you killed those 2 kids, so they're having second thoughts. You're really going to have a big effect on that war, you scum, you savage, you piece of absolute filth. You ready to spend the next 50 years in prison? You probably have some friends in there. There's probably other Jew haters who you can commiserate with, but you're going away. Was it worth it there? Elias, you fool. You've just been brainwashed to throw your life away. Just to hold this event. Just to hold this event, the people at the Jewish Museum, they had to issue invitations in secret. They couldn't publicize where or when the event was. The RSVPs were on Signal, just so a bunch of Jewish people could go to a museum and have a good time. In D.C., they had to act like some kind of underground operation. They couldn't publicize it because they knew scum like this might show up to protest or maybe throw things at them or maybe shoot them. Well, it didn't work. They tried to keep it a secret. They failed. And this piece of shit shows up. And today we're all going to say it could have been worse. He could have shot more. He shot 2 people and then he waved his keffiyeh. An American from Chicago waved his keffiyeh and said, free Palestine. I got bad news for you, Elias. Not only are you going to prison, but Palestine is not going to be freed. Certainly not by anything you did last night. It's not going to be freed. It's going to be destroyed. And it's the fault of the savages you support. I can't even, I'm not going to handle this well. I'm not going to handle it well when they turn him into a martyr. When we see more Congress people not condemn it. I'm going to tell you right now, Ilhan Omar's never going to condemn it. If she issues a statement, it's not going to be authentic, genuine. Rashida Tlaib, she's not going to condemn it. Neither is Ayanna Pressley or Liz Warren or Chuck Schumer. That fraud, they don't care. These are their people. This guy's a Democrat. This guy's an active Democrat, an agitator, a protester who gave money to Joe Biden because he hates Trump, because Trump supports Israel. It is a sickness. It is a disease we have in this country right now, and it's not getting any better. We need deportations. We need to stop letting people like this into our country. I know he's an American, but his like-minded souls, his fellow travelers in New York right now at Columbia, not all of them. We let some of them in. We invited them in, and this is what you get. All right, speaking of savages that we let in, we got to get to this South African president. The media is very upset. Donald Trump was mean to the president of South Africa. A guy who supports this slaughter of white farmers and the confiscation of their land, a a guy who supports racist laws in his country, who signed legislation that allowed them to take the land from the farmers. That guy came to D.C. Trump ambushed him, and the media is not happy. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
If you're still tossing and turning all night and feeling edgy during the day, let me tell you about CBD from CB Distillery. Millions are turning to their CBD for relief because it works. In fact, over 90% of customers report better sleep with CBD. And it's not just sleep. CB Distillery offers targeted formulations for just about everything: sleep, stress, mood and focus, pain after exercise. I got that too. They even have CBD for pets, and it's all made from the highest quality, clean ingredients, no fillers, just premium CBD. I've been taking it for sleep for the last couple of weeks, and it's been amazing, sleeping like a rock. With over 2 million satisfied customers and a 100% money-back guarantee, CB Distillery is the source to trust. If you're struggling with sleep, stress, or other health concerns and haven't found relief, make the change, like millions have, to CBD from CB Distillery. And for a limited time, you could save 25% off your entire purchase. Visit CB Distillery and use promo code Callahan. That's cbdistillery.com, promo code Callahan. This is amazing. I'm looking at the protest at Columbia yesterday. Students outside the commencement where the new president, Claire Shipman, was giving an address, chanted "Free Palestine" and demand the release of Mahmoud Khalil, who's in ICE detention still and awaiting deportation. I don't think this is going to help your case, Mahmoud. And they all have keffiyehs, they all have masks, and they're burning their Columbia diplomas. Good. They're worthless anyway. Would anyone ever hire a Columbia grad at this point, at least one who is a committed anti-Semite? Just sick. They allowed these people to destroy the reputation of a once great university, and they get what they deserve. Who would ever want to go there? Who would want their child to go there? All right, let's get to the big news yesterday. Let me just say, my reaction to what happened in the Oval Office yesterday, this is what we voted for. This is exactly what we voted for. These have become just must watch, these meetings with heads of state in the Oval Office with Trump. He's not messing around, all right? And I watched the coverage of this last night, and there was one interesting point made by a guy named Gerry Callahan. He's a South African, and he's an activist. He's been trying to tell the world what's been going on in South Africa for years now, pointing out the racist policies of the government of Cyril Ramaphosa, the president. He says that they have spoken to presidents in this country for 20 years, going back to George W. Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Biden. None of them, he said they all agreed with them that it's awful, that it's terrible, it's inhumane. None of them did anything about it. He said they spoke to all the leaders in Europe, and they all paid lip service, said, yeah, that's awful, but we really don't want to get involved. They're murdering white farmers. They're not solving the murders. They're taking land from white farmers and giving it to black people. They have more racist laws on the books today than they did under apartheid. It's a problem. And for some reason, the media thought that Donald Trump was supposed to play nice because, if Trump is against something, you have to be for it. So in this case, Trump's against genocide, so the media is for it. Yes, the media is for it. Washington Post is all in on the murder of white farmers and the confiscation of their land because, Trump's against it. This was spectacular. This is how you treat a tyrant. You don't bring him into the Oval Office and say, yeah, we'll ignore all that. We've heard the stories. We have a stack of stories about whites being persecuted in your country. We'll do business. We are their second largest trading partner. This guy was here to encourage investment in South Africa. You remember when apartheid was the law of the land? We didn't have investment in South Africa. In fact, we boycotted it. There were sanctions. There was international outrage that they have race-based laws. Well, they have more laws now than then. It's just different. Now it's race-based against white people. which means the world community, the globalists, the elitists, the Democrats, the liberals, the media, they're okay with it. This is a world order, a worldview they support. Let's take land from white people, give it a black, that's fine. The other way around, that's outrageous. We must boycott. We ain't going to play Sun City. No. But now it's Trump's fault that he wasn't welcoming enough to this monster. This and the word of the day, the memo went out, we'll play it, that this was an ambush. You know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with ambushing a racist tyrant who looks the other way when white people are killed and actually supported, encouraged legislation that would take land from people because of their race. That's what this guy did. This is how you treat someone that like this. You don't look the other way the way all these other presidents did. It took Trump to do this. It took balls to do this, and it was wonderful. We can play the whole scene, but if you missed it, he sits down with them, and of course, the president's trying to the Ramaphosa is trying to downplay the murder, the madness that's going on in his country. Trump brings receipts. Not only does he bring receipts, news clippings, and stories, he brings a video, and on the video is the scene we played the other day, where an entire stadium is chanting, "Kill the boar, kill the farmer." The boar are white farmers. They're chanting it. It's a platform. It is, and at least two of the people who were with him, he brought his people. He brought one token white guy, but he brought his staff. They couldn't watch. They looked the other way. You know why? Because two of them are on the video encouraging the murder of white farmers. Two people in the delegation are supporting the murder of white farmers and the confiscation of their land. And Trump was supposed to play nice. He was supposed to, give him a tour of the White House and have a nice dinner. Screw that. This is how you treat someone like this. And again, the media knows he's not a good guy. The media knows that there's a real problem in South Africa, but they don't care because it's Trump. That is the rule. If Trump supports it, we're against it. If Trump against it, we're for it. So they had to circle the wagons around this piece of garbage. But let's just watch as Trump ambushes this monster yesterday. It was glorious.
Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you. Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are. Whatever we want to do, can we drop our membership from this Muslim parliament? Yes, Honorable Member. Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Shoot to kill. Come on, sir. Kill the poor, the farmer.
Kill the poor, the farmer.
The manner of DJ is free in the white man. So these people really want to hit them hard.
This is I believe, a 4-minute video, and he's forcing the South African president and his delegation to watch. They wouldn't watch. They looked away. By the way, while this is going on, Elon Musk is staring daggers at this guy that will not allow him to do business in his home country because he's white. As Elon Musk has pointed out, the media is fine with that too. This is an amazing moment when you think about it. Again, when there was apartheid, the other way around, we all agreed it was bad. It was wrong. It was evil. Here he is pointing out all the white crosses. This is also amazing. And Trump calls those burial sites. And I got a fact check right here from the BBC. They fact check him on everything. They say he's wrong. That's false. Those aren't burial sites. Those are just, let me get the word they use for it. The white crosses, it says they're burial sites. They're not burial sites, says the BBC. They are memorials. So Trump lied. They're not burial sites. They're memorials marking the death of white farmers. And they go for as far as the eye can see. And he's forcing the South African president to watch. And the South African president says, do you know where that is? As if Trump's supposed to know the location in that guy's country. What does that matter? And they go through the whole thing. This is the exercise that the mainstream media pulled. Trump comes out against genocide, so they have to say, it's not really genocide. There weren't that many murders. They have to admit there are murders, but there weren't that many. It doesn't qualify as genocide. Okay, so you're quibbling over the word. They're killing white farmers and taking their land. 90% of the murders of the white farmers go unsolved because the government looks the other way. There's a reason 59 white farmers and their families came to the United States, because they are being persecuted. That's indisputable. You could say genocide is not the right word. They're being killed. They're being persecuted. The laws are discriminating against them. Do we have that clip from this guy, this president, again, whom the media is rallying around because Trump was mean to him, actually saying that he wants to take the land from white people and give it to black people? Again, I know we say this all the time, and we'll say it again. What if it was the other way around? Trump wouldn't support it if they were taking it from black people, giving it to white people. He'd be dead set. But the media would be outraged. But they're taking it from white people, giving it to black people, and the media's fine with it. Here's that guy, President Ramaphosa, talking about what he believes, what he supports, a law that he signed that allows them to take land from people because of their race. This is the guy the media is rallying around. Go ahead.
The question of land, the land of our forefathers and our foremothers, must return to our people without any fail and without any payment of compensation. And it must happen now.
That's the guy. The land, we must be taken and given it to our people without any compensation. Did you see that on NBC News last night? Did they get to that on CNN? That guy was the one Trump ambushed, and he was mean to him. He wasn't friendly to him. They didn't have coffee. They were really kind of cruel to the poor fella. The guy just said, we must take the land from the white people whose ancestors came there 400 years ago and have been there for 20 generations. We're going to take their land and give it to black people because they're black. And the media says Trump's the bad guy. Here's CNN claiming the song, which you've seen before, we've played it a few times, kill the Boer, kill the white man, kill the white farmer. That's not really about, killing the white farmer. It's just an allegory. It's not really what you think it is. Don't believe your lying ears. This is a reporter from South Africa, a journalist with CNN. This is what they do. They immediately go into action. Let's find some way, somehow, to stop Trump, even though Trump is coming out against a vile, virulent, racist administration in South Africa. Check this out.
Explaining that this is not true. What the videos show is Julius Malema, the far left opposition leader of South Africa. His party is called the Economic Freedom Fighters, and it also showed former President Jacob Zuma. What Julius Malema was singing, "Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer," was an anti-apartheid song from the struggle against white minority rule in South Africa. They've explained that this is not a literal attack, call to attack and kill the farmer because of the historical nature of that. But it's been weaponized by groups in South Africa and increasingly by the MAGA right in the United States to essentially misrepresent what is going on in the country, Boris, Brianna.
been weaponized by MAGA people in the United States. Kill the boar, kill the farmer. And they're doing it. They're killing the farmers, taking their land. And it's not really what it means. It's just been weaponized. Republicans pounced. Oh, God, these people are detestable. This is my favorite moment of the whole thing. So this guy, Ramaphosa, to try to, I don't know, blunt the damage here, brings with him Retief Goosen and early Ernie Els, two great golfers, white guys from South Africa. And somehow, I don't know why, he thought it was going to help his case. And they're standing there on the side with the South African delegation, just standing there. They watched the video as well. And Retief Goosen, who is, again, supposed to be there to make it appear that, white people are okay, they can live okay, they can live their lives in South Africa. Retief Goosen kind of spoils the plan for Ramaphosa when he points out, some of his family, friends have been murdered and lost their farms. Check out this moment, which didn't go quite the way the media and the South African guys had hoped.
I grew up in an area in South Africa that is a farmland area, Polokwane, and there is some issues up there. Obviously, my dad was a property developer as well as a part-time farmer, and some of these buddy farmers got killed. The farm is still going. My brothers run it, but it's a constant battle with farms trying to burn the farms down to chase you away. So it is a concern to try and make a living as a farmer. And at the end of the day, without farmers, there's no food on the plate. So we need the farmers to produce the food.
Farming, right? He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't even want to do what you're doing. Right? They love farming. They don't want to leave. But it's a struggle.
Yeah, and food and fresh water is the most important thing in life. Without those two things, you can't survive.
How is the water there?
The water is great. Obviously, all the water comes out of the borehole, out of ground for us down there. But it is a battle to get the water out sometimes when all the equipment gets stolen all the time that you're trying to get the water out.
So does your family and your brother, do they feel safe on the farm?
They live behind electric fences, try and be at night safe. But it is constant whenever you leave that something could happen.
He goes on to point out that he knows farmers who've been killed, white farmers. That guy was there, Retief Goosen and Ernie Els, to support the South African president. I don't think they worked out quite the way they had hoped. All right, one more before we move on.
Real quick, my biggest takeaway is this guy somehow manages to wear a suit and tie, and Zelensky can't even.
I know. That's true. He was mean to Zelensky, too. He ambushed him, too. All these ambushes. This is amazing. This is, once again, the media coming out against transparency. Trump is the most transparent politician we've ever seen, certainly the most transparent president. He does all this in front of the world, and they're mad. They're like, why doesn't he do it behind closed doors? It makes us feel icky. They're alleged media people, and they're upset that the president is extremely transparent, unlike the last guy who lived a life of lies and hiding. And here is the media. This is from Western Lensman, who's so good, compiling the reaction. This is the immediate reaction. Does an email go out? I don't know. A text go out? Or do they just all think the same way? They were all upset at this show, at this confrontation in the Oval Office, and they all characterized it the same way. Check this out.
To the dramatic scene in the Oval Office today, the tense confrontation, President Trump ambushing the president of South Africa.
Next, another Oval Office meltdown, President Trump ambushing the president of South Africa.
President Trump is being accused of conducting something of a diplomatic ambush of South Africa's president in the Oval Office.
To be with you, I'm Katie Tur. President Trump orchestrated another Oval Office ambush today.
Today, Donald Trump meeting with the president of South Africa and attempting to ambush and humiliate that leader.
into Zelensky territory, where essentially he was a bit ambushed inside the Oval Office.
Felt like an ambush in there, kind of like the President Zelensky meeting in the Oval Office.
This was an ambush. It was orchestrated.
Cyril Ramaphosa brought his best diplomatic self to this meeting, but nothing could have prepared him for this multimedia ambush.
What started as, to some degree, an ambush.
Well, Katie, I mean, it was an ambush.
Ambush.
Ambushed. Ambush.
An ambush.
Ambushing.
Ambushed inside the Oval Office.
Ambush. That's unbelievable. Again, the guy is on video saying he's stealing land from white people and giving it to black people just because of their race. The media used to, I guess they do, they obsess about race, but they support this kind of racism. Even though most of the people you just saw are white, they're okay with the persecution of white people. They're upset that 59 South Africans were given refuge in this country. That bothers them. They didn't mind 20 million, illegals of color. That was okay. But now we have 59 white people, and that's just a bridge too far. These people are just detestable, repugnant scum. All right, speaking of repugnant scum, we got to get to the mayor of Chicago, an outright racist. And he's not, unlike Mayor Wu, who's also a racist, Mayor of Boston, this guy, he's not smart enough to pull it off. He admits on camera that he is illegally discriminating against white people and Asians and everyone else, and only hiring black people. The mayor of Chicago and now the Civil Rights Division under Harmeet Dillon is investigating and hopefully prosecuting this guy because it is blatantly illegal, unethical, and racist. We will play you that. You won't believe it. And we got the greatest question I think I've ever heard from a member of the media to the mayor of Chicago. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
Life is full of surprises. Some wonderful, some not so much. But here's one thing you can control: making sure your loved ones are protected if the unexpected happens. At EasyPlans.com, we make getting life insurance, well, easy. In just a few minutes, you can apply online and buy direct. No awkward phone calls, no confusing jargon, and no agent will contact you unless you request help. Just clear, affordable coverage, designed to fit your life and your budget. Fast approval, flexible plans, and unlike other online insurance sites, Easy Plans won't sell your information to others. So no endless phone calls and text messages. Whether you're just starting a family, buying a home, or thinking ahead, EasyPlans.com has you covered. EasyPlans.com. We make buying life insurance, well, easy.
We have some really, really rotten people running our blue cities in this country. We've gone over it many times. For some reason, people in the inner city just elect some real bad people. Here in Boston, we have Mayor Wu, an outright racist, who held a no whites allowed Christmas party, who does not hire white people, does not promote white people. Karen Bass in L.A., Brandon Johnson in Chicago. Most of them, I think, are smart enough to not admit that they're racist. They just kind of do it and hope the media will cover them for them. And that's usually how it works out. And people will re-elect them, despite their failings and failures. So Brandon Johnson was asked about this, talked about this. Why do you only hire black people? Why do you discriminate? It's not only unethical, it's illegal. And he doesn't say, oh, I don't do that, or deny it. He admits it, explains why. Because according to Mayor Brandon Johnson, black people are the best people. That's why he only hires black people. This guy is incredible. He's got an approval rating of like 8%, and yet they voted for him. They just voted for him. They put him in office. He's actually worse than Lori Lightfoot, which is hard to believe. But here's Brandon Johnson explaining why he violates federal law and only hires black people.
Some detractors that will push back on me and say, the only thing that the mayor talks about is the hiring of black people. No, what I'm saying is when you hire our people, we always look out for everybody else. We are the most generous people on the planet. I don't know too many cultures that have play cousins. That's how generous we are. We just make somebody a family member, right? That's just how we are. And so business and economic neighborhood development, the deputy mayor is a Black woman. Department of Planning and Development is a Black woman. Infrastructure deputy mayor is a Black woman. Chief operations officer is a Black man. Budget director is a Black woman. Senior advisor is a Black man. And I'm laying that out because when you ask, how do we ensure that our people get a chance to grow their business?
He's admitting, again, not just a racist, a moron. He's admitting that he hires based on race. And his logic is Black people are the best people. They're the most generous. I know this is, we do this too often. I know you're sick of it, but let's just, I don't know, play along one more time. Imagine this is a white mayor saying, I only hire white people because they're the best people. And he goes through the list of his staff. It says, deputy mayor, white guy, infrastructure projects, white guy, head of, chief of police, white guy. Do we do that? Because they're the most generous people. He would be fired. He might be charged criminally. He certainly would be vilified and ostracized nationally. It would be an outrage. But a Black guy can do it and say, I only hire Black people because we're the best people. My people, just saying my people. A white guy ever said that? Yeah, we're going to stick with my people when I fill all these offices. Forget the fact that it's a terribly run city and running up deficits and kids can't read and kids getting shot in the street and he's completely incompetent. I mean, he's explaining to you that he bases his decisions strictly based on skin color, and he does it unapologetically. Again, Mayor Wu does the same thing in Boston, but she's smart enough to not admit it. I mean, she doesn't hire white people. She doesn't promote white people. It's probably the case in many big cities, but you're not supposed to say that out loud, you idiot. Here he is asked about it. Again, credit to this reporter in Chicago, because this would never, ever happen in most of these situations. You would never hear some Boston reporter, some Boston Globe reporter do this to Mayor Wu, who is guilty as guilty as this guy. But one Chicago reporter had the balls to put him on the spot, and it was spectacular. Check it out.
Real Chicagoans woke up this morning relieved that the Department of Justice is finally investigating your race hustle. As someone who grew up on the south side of Chicago, I've heard a lot of race hustlers in my life, trust me, but they were usually marching around outside of City Hall, which is what makes this so embarrassing and dangerous. Very, very dangerous to the city of Chicago.
Okay, we need the question.
I'm more than happy to ask this question. It's long overdue. For over a year, real Chicagoans, white and Black, have been telling me that your Black power rhetoric is bringing the city backwards from a place that
we need the question
had overcome. You want the question?
Please.
Real Chicagoans want to know, why are you a racist?
Well, first of all, I reject the idea and the premise that somehow that's an actual legitimate question.
You want to bet?
All right, we're going to go to the next one. Alice?
The next question, my follow-up question is a businessman, Robert Gomez, had his riverfront restaurant license yanked. You said that the reason you hire Black people is because they're the most generous race on the planet. His riverfront restaurant license was yanked and given to a Black restaurateur. That has, once again, reinforced the belief among real Chicagoans, white and Black and Mexican, that you are a racist. What do you say to those people?
Again, I reject the premise that somehow that your question has any legitimacy. Thank you for your time, sir.
Oh, what I would give for someone to ask Mayor Wu, Michelle Wu, that in Boston, again, a woman who had no whites allowed, a woman married to a white guy who had a party at Christmas where no whites were allowed, who does not hire white people, does not promote white people. I think the guy from South Africa has more white people on his staff than the mayor of Chicago. That's a fact. But the guy literally said, my people are the most generous. That's why I only hire my people. And now the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division is investigating. And we wonder why a city like that is such a mess. A guy like that, who's not just an idiot, who's just a out and out racist, is the mayor. Why do people elect people like this? I understand maybe you're glad to see a black guy and ascend to the top office in your city, but can't you find a better black guy than him? That guy you want running your city? It's just remarkable that at this day and age, a guy who's that racist, who just admitted it, is a mayor of our third largest city, one of our most important cities. He's running the show. He's doing the hiring, and he bases everything on your immutable characteristics. How do we get to this point, 2025, where we have same problem in Chicago as we had in South Africa? We have a racist running the city, and it's not the only city. Just incredible. All right, we got to go. Oh, I want to do one more thing before we wrap this up. Still waiting for a statement from Ilhan Omar and any of these radical leftist Congress people, any of the squad members condemning the cold-blooded murder in D.C. last night. I think I'll be waiting a while. Can you throw that Washington Post headline up there? Obviously, the whole story. The big story this week was the cover-up of Joe Biden's senility and his cancer. This just blew me away. This is the greatest crystallization of the utter corruption, the failure of the mainstream media. We know now. I mean, I love this story. I love this book. I said that on Twitter last night. I want to read this book. I don't want to buy it because I hate Jake Tapper. I don't want to put money in his pocket. I want to steal it. I might have to take it out of the library. I want to read it because it is just amazing. They are treating as revelations things we've been talking about for 4 years, whether it's Hunter Biden's problems, the cover-up of the senility, the stutter. I mean, they covered up. The media, the Democrats covered up for a president who was not there, who was not healthy, who was not able to do the job for 4 years. And now they want you to know, gee, we were taken by surprise. Who knew? Who could have seen this? We saw it every day. We played you clips. We talked about it every day for 5 years. And now they're telling you today what we told you 5 years ago and acting as if it's a revelation. But anyway, the Washington Post, the biggest newspaper in the nation's capital, one of the biggest newspapers in the country, which has hundreds of reporters in D.C., this is the Washington Post editorial board. Here is their headline. Pop it up there for me again. If Biden was too frail for his job, voters should have been informed. Good point. We should have been informed. You're a newspaper. You have reporters. Your job is to inform us. If the Biden people were lying, you were supposed to call them out. You were supposed to, report. You were supposed to dig. You were supposed to push back. You were supposed to question authority. You were supposed to hold government accountable. And you didn't. You covered it up and lied. And you want us to believe you were just misled. It was those darn Biden people. They just slipped one past us. You know, KJP was just so smart and so persuasive. She fooled us all. You are liars. That's the best part of this whole Jake Tapper book and the Firestorm. It is exposing them for what they are. Liars. They're not dupes. They weren't fooled. They lied for one reason and one reason only, to stop Trump. And even better, they failed miserably. This book is not going to fail. It's going to be number one. It's going to sell. It's going to be huge. and Jake Tapper's going to get rich, but he's also never going to recover because he was a big part of the cover-up that he's now reporting on, and everybody sees the hypocrisy. So I eventually will read it. I might have to steal it. Might have to actually go to the library, which I don't want to do because my library has a Black Lives Matter sign in the window and a pride flag. I try to stay clear of the place, but I might have to do it just so I can read this book without putting any money in Jake's pocket.
Hi.
That will do it for today and for this week. Tomorrow we're taking a break. We're taking a long weekend. Hope everybody has a good Memorial Day weekend. I appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we will do it again Tuesday morning.
Congresswoman, you are now facing a federal charge, though. Are you afraid of what's going to transpire now?
You fight on, you fight on, you fight on, you fight on. When your government is doing you wrong, you fight on, oh, you fight on.